He's going to be like, we're done. I'm eating fat.
You're having some bacon.
I'm so intrigued.
I did it for like 6 hours. That one time, right?
Yeah, you did. You're like, the hell with this.
Dude,
Really?
Well, I tried to do it from an actual, like, competitors.
Oh.
And it was insane.
No, see, I don't want to do that.
Fat and protein that you had to eat. Nice.
Sorry, Ruka.
The amount of fat and protein, it was just gross. I felt gross.
Yeah. I feel like there's a hump.
I felt, what?
There's a hump to get over. I feel like 6 hours wasn't enough to get over the hump.
You're probably right.
Oh.
Probably. Hey, guys.
Oh,
Hey.
you do it every time.
Coach Ray's podcast is
I could have
here.
said something crazy.
We are not talking about keto. We're talking about the ideal morning. So we're going to take you guys through a 3-part series starting today. We're going to go over what is the ideal morning routine and how can you biohack your life so that you are a monster stud, disciplined, amazing human being. We're basically just going to take you through like some things that we've done for our morning routines, some things that we've heard about when studying, and give you a blueprint for what would make the ideal morning, both from a, I would say, psychological perspective, so setting yourself up mentally for the day, and then also from a physical perspective, getting your body moving and getting it ready to tackle the day as well. Then in the next part, we will take you guys through what does an ideal day look like, and then final part will be what is an ideal nighttime routine. That'll be all you need, basically. You'll be good to go after that. So we're going to kick this thing off, you guys, starting with kind of like a step-by-step. You wake up, your eyes open. Now what? So I would start with set your phone somewhere else up in your room that is not next to your bed. So I put mine specifically in the bathroom, and when the alarm goes off, ideally I'm actually already awake at that point. So ideally I am in a perfect circadian rhythm.
So you don't need an alarm.
That would be the ideal, right? Is that you would actually wake up because your body woke you up. You wouldn't have this alarm going off. This is going to be a fun one. Everybody's just laughing their way through it. Like, this is so unrealistic.
Right.
No, I'm just imagining that actually happening, and I'm giddy.
Yeah, like that would be amazing. Yeah, so ideally we would wake up as the sun starts to come up, and then that would be our circadian rhythm, wake us up. But let's just say that your phone is waking you up. It would be across the room because it would force you to get out of bed and to start moving. And it's really easy when the phone's right next to us to just kind of grab it, hit the snooze button, and go back to sleep for a couple hours or a couple minutes. For a couple hours, I was like, oh, that sounds nice.
Couple
Ideal
hours.
life.
Yeah, right. But there's actually been a lot of research that has shown that people who hit the snooze alarm, it really messes with your hormones. So it can really mess with the cortisol levels that are supposed to be at their peak at that moment. Then you push the snooze button, you go back to sleep, and your body's like, wait, what's happening? I thought we're supposed to be waking up, and now we're going back to sleep. And this is just throwing us all off. So set your phone up across the room. You got to get up. You got to go get your phone. You shut it off, and then this is my ideal. Turn that cold shower on, baby. Hop in that freezing cold shower. Get completely underneath it and stay in it until you can take a minimum of a 7-second inhale and a 10-second exhale. And you can do that for about 3 sets of 7-second inhale, 10-second exhale with that cold water washing over you. A few different reasons for this. Let's forget about the whole scientific side of it, because so far any study that's been done on it has shown no negative effects of it whatsoever, only positive effects. But I think it's more about the psychological win you'll get. You do the toughest thing you're probably going to do all day right off the bat. Boom, the rest of your day is a little bit easier. And it teaches you to use your breath to calm down, and specifically how we should be breathing. So a lot of us don't even recognize that we don't use our diaphragm enough when we breathe, that instead we're just taking these big, long chest breaths, which is putting us in a sympathetic state. It's keeping our nervous system ramped up instead of bringing us back down. And if you can learn when you get into a cold shower to use your diaphragm to breathe, you take a deep breath in through your nose, about 7 seconds, kind of sounds like this. everybody just got so relaxed. And if you can do that for 3 sets when you're in one of the most uncomfortable situations that you'll probably be in all day, freezing water all over you, you're shivering, and you're able to calm yourself down, any other real major thing that you come across that day is going to be a little bit easier because you realize that you can use your breath to calm it down. So for example, if you're in the middle of a workout and things are getting real tough, you can remember, okay, hey, take a deep breath into my diaphragm, slow my heart rate down, breathe, okay, get myself out of that sympathetic nervous state and bring myself out of it a little bit. Okay, now keep moving. That'll help your fitness. That's one place. You're at your job. You're getting stressed out because you're behind on the list of things that you need to do. Being able to just stop for a second, recognize that you're stressed out. You're probably holding everything into your neck and your shoulders and you're tensed up. Stand up, take a deep breath in through your diaphragm, let it out, breathe. It'll kind of help you like part the clouds and see a little bit clearer. So that is why I do the cold shower in the morning and why I would say if somebody's trying to create their ideal morning, that would be the first thing that they do.
Cool. Yeah, I would follow up with that and then go into some joint rotations in the body. So start with the wrists, start doing some circular rotations of the wrists, do some flexion extensions, move into the elbows, then the shoulders, just trying to get the synovial fluid moving around the joints, helping with circulation. That will help you move a little bit better and help with everything else that you're going to be going throughout the day. Right there.
It'll help you warm up after that cold shower.
Yeah, anything will help out. Getting out of the cold shower would help you warm up.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I took the flexibility course back in the day too, they said that like a good rule of thumb was however old you are, do that many rotations of each joint. So if you're 33, do 33 wrist rotations, 33 elbow rotations, 33 shoulder rotations, 33 neck rotations, you know what I mean? And move through that. It's not necessarily saying that's like, scientific fact, that's what you should do, but it's a good rule of thumb. They were saying like the older you are, the more you need to move your body.
Amber's grandmother would have to do 99 joint rotations of every movement.
And that would probably be really good for her. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, they said that they would in the mornings do about 10 minutes of joint rotations in the mornings. That'd be really good.
Cool. So then moving from joint rotation to like some sort of aerobic moving. So whether that be, oh gosh, dare I say it, a short run in the morning or a bike or a row or something that you're kind of just getting blood flowing and oxygen pumping for a couple of reasons, right? It loosens you up, gets you ready for your day, but it can also kind of combat what you've experienced the day before. So if you're sore, not feeling great waking up, it's a great way to just get oxygen through the body and kind of kickstart that recovery process as well for the day too. It's also important to note that this morning, I think it's really funny that we're talking about this. This morning, my alarm didn't go off. And so I think that this is a great conversation to be having right now. As we talk about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gnarly. So it's good. It's like, it's good information because normally at night, Sam is the same way. My husband's the same way. He makes us put our phones away from the bed.
Awesome. And
so they're on the dresser and they're charging there, or his is charging there. Mine gets to charge after his. But so they're charging, and my alarm's set, his alarm's set. His is set like an hour and a half earlier than mine, and then mine goes off after that. And so he plugs my phone in on the charger as he wakes up. So then mine gets to charge. And then this morning, I put my phone when I fall asleep because he went to bed later than me. I put my phone on his side of the bed so he knows to put it up on the dresser, and he just makes sure it's okay and puts it up on the dresser. And last night he didn't. For some reason, our charger wasn't on our dresser, so I didn't just not wake up to my alarm. My phone was dead. Like I didn't even have a phone. So I wake up at like 6:30. I open my eyes. I leave my house at 7. I wake up at 6:30. Sam comes in and he's like, "Did you hear your alarm go off?" I was like, "No." He was like, "Your alarm went off." I was like, "Great." And then I checked my phone. It was dead. I was like, "How did my alarm go off?" So with all that being said, he cooked me breakfast and I took it to go this morning. And here we are talking about morning routines.
Awesome.
And also, we mentioned about the aerobic. We have a couple members that recently purchased new assault bikes.
What?
Yeah. Kyle and Christina, they got one. And then Amy
Kyle
has one, too.
Brett's got an Echo, or not Brett, Bezod has an Echo bike,
what?
too. He got
does
one.
he?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my favorite thing, honestly, is like when we talk about aerobic stuff, I'll literally just do one of two things. I'll go in the garage and I'll do 100 calories, just nice and easy. Usually takes about 8, 9, 10 minutes depending on easy I'm going, or I'll do a quick Tabata. If I'm feeling like really froggy that morning, like I'm like, I feel good, like let's go.
Froggy.
Yeah, froggy. Then I'll do 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 rounds of that. And that's like if I'm feeling really good, but usually it's like 100 calories.
Yeah, I wish I had a bike.
Yeah.
Do you have a bike?
I do.
What? Oh, I had a bike once.
Yeah, you can get go on Craigslist and look for spin bikes. The spin bikes are like you can find them for free. Most people are trying to get rid of them. Yeah, and you can get one of those, or even an old Schwinn, like one of the old Airdynes that are like still cost $200 on Craigslist. Yeah. But maybe you can find one for cheap. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so after you go through the aerobic stuff, now the next thing I do is, and what I would suggest people do is some sort of static stretching, specifically just hashtag ROMWOD. Like, get on the ROMWOD train if you're not already. Come see me. I have a code I can give you guys for a couple free weeks. It is, if I ROMWOD consistently every single day, I notice that, like, I can just pop into a squat. Mm-hmm. I can just get into great positions. My shoulders feel great. Everything feels better. And then I also like to tie this in with meditation. And so what I'll usually do is the ROMWOD at the end has usually like a 5 to 10 minute rebound where they're just like, okay, lay on the ground, and the music kind of keeps playing. You're supposed to just lay there. I'll do that, and I'll lay down after I'm done with the ROMWOD, and I'll just sit there, and I'll start asking myself questions as if I had met myself in a bar, and I was like trying to be like create friendly conversation. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing the type of stuff you'll come up with, and like what you'll like be like, oh man, maybe I need to reach out to so and so, or like maybe I should spend a little bit more time with my family, or maybe I should focus on my health a little bit more. Like the things that come out of when I literally just sit there and I'll just be like this is weird. I'll lay there and I'll be like, hey, what's your name? Like, Wes. Like, oh, cool. Like, where are you from? And I'll just kind of go through the standard questions that you would ask somebody,
Yeah.
And then it'll lead me like down one direction of like, something like, oh yeah, like, do you still play sports or anything like that? Like I used to play football or something like, no, I don't anymore. And I really should. Mm-hmm. And I'll find myself saying that kind of stuff. Like, or whatever. Do you still eat that way? Like, oh no, I kind of got away from it. I should probably get back to it. And I'll like all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, that's I feel like that's my mind trying to tell me that like, hey, you're neglecting something, and you need to not necessarily like run towards that thing, but think about it a little bit more and see if you need to put a little bit more time into it. So that's my meditation, is me talking to myself.
Unless you're James Benson, the rebound just puts him right to sleep.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful with that sometimes.
I got, so I have like the Calm meditation app, you know what I mean? And I use that at night before I go to bed. So I have, I have Bluetooth headphones. And so my phone will be in the bathroom, and I'll put my Bluetooth headphones on, and I'll turn the Calm app on, and I make it like 2 minutes into that thing, I'm out. Like completely out. And so I've never actually used that thing to meditate. It just puts me to sleep. Yeah, but then that's what I would do, you guys. After the aerobic work is done, I would pop into a ROMWOD, and then during that rebound, I would just do some meditation. And ideally, meditation is really just like trying to allow nothingness to happen and allow your brain to just do what it needs to do. So some tips when you are meditating: if thoughts do come into your mind, it's okay. Don't focus on them though. So don't start to dive too much into them. So meaning like, for example, that thing popped up and it was like, oh, so do you still play sports? Right. And then I could go down the path of like, oh no, I don't anymore, and I really should. And why don't I? And oh man, it's because I'm such an idiot. I stopped doing this. And you can go down that path. But instead what you do is like, when that comes up, do you play sports anymore? And I go, no, not much anymore, but I kind of wish I did. And then I'd move on to the next thing. And if it's truly important and it's like something I feel like I should work on, it'll still be there in my subconscious later on. But I'm just allowing the thoughts to come. I'm taking a look at them, and then I'm kind of passing them on. I think the Calm app had a really good metaphor they use, where it's like watching traffic. Like if you just sit there and watch traffic, traffic's fine. It's not a big deal. But when you jump out into traffic, it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And so when you have thoughts come into your head, and if you just think of them like passing traffic, and it's like, oh, whatever's just passing traffic, it is what it is. But when you jump into those thoughts and you start diving into it, that's where it can become like where people don't like to meditate, because they don't like to think about a lot of the things that it brings up. It's about being able to take those things that come up and realize that they're just thoughts. They're not an action. There's nothing really happening to you, but it's what you do with that thought that matters, and your ability to take a negative thought that may pop in your brain and just go, oh, passing thought, see ya, will really help you a lot in life when negative things happen to you or somebody says something to you, and you can just be like, oh, all right, moving on. So that's why I would go after the aerobic work, with stretching and some meditation.
Which ties actually really well into journaling. Sam, my husband, does this thing with his journal. He is like the picture perfect journaler. Like if you want someone to learn about journaling from, it's him. And one of the first things he'll do is he'll open his journal. Gosh, I hope he listens to this. I'm validating you. He'll open his journal. I don't know if he does this first, but he definitely does it. But he just writes everything that comes to his mind so that it's out. Because he has so much just in his brain that when he writes it all down, it like allows him to, okay, now I can do all this stuff. Yeah. And so it just like, whether it's good, bad, crazy, an idea, whatever it is, it's now on paper and it's kind of like decluttered. And then he can go into whether he's writing music or reading or doing whatever, writing, all of that kind of stuff. He can do that then. But he does this like word vomit to start, and it's really cool. But journaling, and everyone has their own take on journaling, but we would say after like stretching or whatever order we go into journaling, and actually physically like getting out a journal and writing stuff in it. The way that I do it is I'm usually reading. I'm personally, mine's scripture, Bible based, and I'm usually in a portion of the Bible and then a portion of like a book, and I'll just write like what deeper about the things that I'm reading. Usually when I'm reading, I'm in the car because I'm listening to it. But the times that I have to write them down, I'll usually just my reading, or whether it be biblical or just a book, like a self-help book or whatever it is, it'll take me down trails. And so I'll write kind of tangibles from those things. Like, what can I do with this? Or what can I do with this? So what does this mean to me? Those kinds of things. And that's beneficial for me outside of the to-do list setting. So, because I definitely have those too. And so depending on how I feel, I'll either get my to-do list out of the way and kind of like group things of importance, and I'll kind of write those down, or I'll journal and then I'll to-do list. It just depends on how my brain feels when I wake up. Like this morning, I didn't do either of those things. Yeah. And I was out the door.
And do you feel like your morning was kind of thrown off a little bit?
No.
Oh, cool.
I don't. Awesome. Yes, I think that it's ideal. Like Sam texted me and he's like, hey, did you get to work okay? Because I know we were both feeling bad about the scenario. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally fine, because I am. Like, that's the thing, is when we get into these routines and they stronghold us, when you mess up, there shouldn't be a shaming thing. Yeah. Like, if anything, I sat in my car and was like, I slept a little longer.
Cool.
I should feel a little better. My husband made me breakfast. I took it to go in the car.
See, like, I'm horrible at that.
Yeah.
If I get out of my routine, I'm like, you're a shitty person. Mm-hmm. You don't have discipline. You need to, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I should totally shame myself for sure. Well,
whereas I had to sit there and just come up with all of the reasons why I was going to be okay that everything didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Like normally I'm up an hour and a half early and doing all of these things. But this morning and even Azra, I woke up like 5 minutes before I walked out the door. And of course she wants me. So I'm like, I had to stop and pick her up and hold her. And I was like, I'm going to leave the house 5 minutes late. I know it. All and good. That drives me nuts. But I got in my car and I was like, I'm okay. I'm driving to work. But I also have 45 minutes to decompress a little bit, which is good. Yeah. Which is a super positive.
Nat just drifts down the freeway as she's trying to speed across.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there.
I'll make it 5 minutes.
Well, I'm perpetually early, so I can afford 5 minutes every once in a while.
You'd be good in the
Still
military.
Get here 5-10 minutes early.
Awesome. But, yeah, my journaling is like a little bit different than yours. It sounds kind of like what you do with your journaling is kind of what I do with my meditation.
Yes.
Where I'm like brain dumping and just like, get rid of the to-do list. But when I go to journal in the morning, it's very specific. So I have a few different areas of my life that I'm always trying to improve or put 90% of my effort into. The first one is my own health and wellness. And the second one is my family. And then it goes into the business. So Coast Range CrossFit and Coast Range Nutrition, and building those. So I have like 4 main areas of my life that I'm always trying to push forward and improve. And my to-do list definitely gets in the way of those things, where I'll just get caught up on like, okay, I need to order this thing, or I need to clean this, or I need to change this, or I need to paint this, or I need to, and it's like stuff that I don't need to do. I could probably find somebody else to do. And what I need to be doing is focusing on moving those other things forward, like my health and my family and my business. So when I journal in the morning, I'll sit down and write those things out. So I'll write out my health, and I'll write down what's one thing that today that I can do to improve my health. those are usually very simple things like sticking with my morning routine, hitting my macros on my food, and going to bed on time, like those types of things, making sure I'm doing all my training. And then I'll look at my family. Okay, what can I do today to maximize the growth of me and my family? And that's usually showing some type of gratitude towards Megan in some way, like just remembering to thank her for doing something that she always does. Right. And we just get like into the routine that is just normal. Or something for Joey, like what have I have, when was the last time I actually just had, alone time with me and Joey? And if I haven't in a long time, I'll set up a time like, okay, I'm going to go to the park with just me and her or something like that. And then after that, it's the business. And so what do I need to do to grow Coast Range CrossFit? Right. And with that, like there's all sorts of subcategories in there, like with our all of our members, making sure that they feel like they're, loved and appreciated, and have I done things to make sure that they're loved and appreciated? Our coaches, same thing, making sure you guys feel like you're loved and appreciated and happy with what you're doing too. And then also like just the gym itself, like is there things like the upstairs needs to get done? That's on my list like this week to do for sure, and it's one of my main things I'm going to do. And then Coast Range Nutrition is the same thing. Like, are we creating more systems to make sure we're doing that? I'm working on like a supplement protocol for people to make sure that we are giving them the correct information on what types of supplements to go after, so they're not having like bad protein or bad whatever, that kind of stuff. And I'm doing that. So my journaling is more just making sure I'm putting my to-do list to the side and focusing on the things that are important, driving it forward. I call it my reset button. Where you should see my notes on my phone. My notes on my phone is a to-do list that is like 1 million sheets long, and I put that aside and I just focus on that. So that's what I do, and I journal.
Cool. Mine's a little more, I focus on starting my mindset on a positive note. So I usually try to think of 3 things or people that I'm thankful for. And every day I try to pick different people. So I'm always thinking, I thank my wife every morning. It's like, I got to think of somebody different.
Totally.
Or things. And then the night before, for that routine is when I try to plan for the next day. So that way my mind is at rest and I don't have to worry about what I'm going to be doing that morning, or waking them in the morning trying to think about that. But yeah, so mornings is basically 3 things or people that I'm thankful for. Moving on from there, talking about, okay, we've done your cold shower, you've done your joint rotations, you've did some aerobic work, we stretched, we've journaled, we've taken in some hot apple cider vinegar.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. Yeah. So that's something. Yeah. So having some hot water with lemon and apple cider vinegar, and then Himalayan pink sea salt. Those specific things. If you want to dive into the reason why those specific things, we'll talk about that some other time. But main thing is it just kind of helps jumpstart the digestion process, so it gets all the acids inside the stomach kind of moving around and ready to digest some food a little bit better. And the salt helps with hydration. And so I'll usually have that while I'm journaling.
Cool.
Ew.
So after all that, then we talk about now it's time to eat. And depending on what type of a person you are, whether you are a morning workout person, an afternoon, or an evening, will change what your breakfast makeup should look like. If you're a morning workout person, you're going to get some moderate protein, some decent amount of carbohydrate, and no fat. Fat will slow down the digestion, and if we're working on the morning, the last thing we want is that food taking longer in the stomach to digest. If you're an afternoon, you're basically even all the way across the board, moderate protein, carb, and fat. If you're an evening person, we want to get a moderate protein, low carbohydrate, and high fats. We want to bookend the fats at the beginning and the end of the day. So we want to start off with the fat and the high portion of that. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at there.
Awesome. And obviously making sure it's like as high quality of food as possible,
Exactly.
So if it's free range eggs or, free range beef or whatever it is, and it's organic and local veggies and that kind of stuff, the better, the better.
Healthy fats and whatnot. Yep.
Avocado oil, olive oil, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Coconut oil.
Grass-fed butter.
Kerrygold butter, all that stuff is good. But we can dive more into the specifics of that in some other podcasts. But that's just a general kind of like ideal morning routine for you guys. So just to recap really quick, you wake up without an alarm clock because you got the amount of sleep that you need, and the sun wakes you up.
The birds are
right?
chirping.
Yes, and you float out of bed and you go over towards the bathroom. You hop into a cold shower. You have gratitude for the day. You learn how to breathe and slow things down. You get out of the cold shower. You go through some joint rotations. Think about how old you are. Move each one of your joints through that many times of rotations. Then you're going to get into some type of aerobic work. Get on a bike, go on a jog, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups. Just get your heart rate up a little bit and kind of like where you can't. Ooh, here's a good way to think about it. if you can breathe through your nose only, you're not going hard enough. You want to get to the point where you start to have to kind of like open your mouth to take a breath. And so you're breathing through your nose, and then you should be like, ooh, I kind of feel like I need to open up my mouth. And that's like probably it. I wouldn't go any further than that, you know?
You should be able to have a conversation with somebody while they're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it keeps your heart rate low enough where you're not dipping into the central nervous system, but it's still ramping it up enough where you're going to get a lot of blood flow and oxygen to flow through the body. After you guys go through your aerobic stuff, sit down on a mat, do some Ramwad, meditate, journal while you're having your hot water with lemon and apple cider vinegar and Himalayan pink sea salt. Cook a breakfast that is high in both, micronutrients and, depending on when you're working out, the proper amount of macronutrients. Go out the door and start your day. That would be the ideal morning.
Ideal. We need some theme music right there at the end. That's the ideal day.
Like the Rocky theme music would be like as you go out the door. Dun 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 dun. I think that'd be great. Cool. Awesome, guys. This is the first part of a 3-part series we're going to be releasing today. On the next part, we're going to talk about what should be an ideal day.
Cool.
See you guys later.
See ya.